Salut, ich bin der Daniel und das ist der Ali. Und wir wissen ja schon, wenn du Summoner Stance so laufen wird. Kommt mit.
Spiel im Summoner Stance bei diesem League of Legends Turnier, Mod.
Oh nein, das hab ich gekillt. Guck, kein Bock mehr auf League. Ciao.
Beweis den Treffsicherheit bei diesem Bierpunkt-Turnier.
Oh, schau, du hast so gewonnen. Das ist kein Spaß, Joe.
Oder genieße flotten Abend mit der Community.
Eine Straße, viele Bäume. Ja, das ist eine Allee. Allee, 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 Allee.
Hi and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second day of this starting off week for the Elite Series 2nd Division here in this beautiful summer split. Now, we will be taking a look at some very nice League of Legends games tonight, and I will not be alone for that, because by my side I have none other than the one, the only, Freshtana. Welcome back, Freshtana.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. It's nice to be with you. Last day we had Daniel here. Now we have you here. It's always a pleasure, and we will have some great games upon us. So I'm really hyped about that.
Yeah, I think for now, I mean, this split looks very promising. We've had some, as far as I've heard, because I'm in my exam, so I wasn't able to follow the stream on Wednesday too closely, but I did hear about some pretty interesting games going on, notably Rift Sloths that went pretty long,
Yes.
I heard.
Yeah, that was a 50-minute banger game versus PERTINAX, and PERTINAX almost had the game in their hands, so we can definitely expect something from them today. It's our starting game, by the way. And yeah, that was really, really close for Rift Sloths. In the end, they won it successfully, but it was such a close game. And then, of course, I think we had maybe the biggest upset in week one with Dynasty losing to Full Clear Esports, which at least in my opinion, nobody expected. So Full Clear definitely looks really, really solid with their team comp. And yeah, this team definitely, which will be the second match of the day, is definitely a team you can look out for.
So we already mentioned the two first games of tonight. Starting off, of course, with PERTINAX, as you've said, they will be going up against Once Upon a Team, who I believe they lost their first match on Wednesday, but we always keep hope for Once Upon a Team going into as the underdog in this competition. Then we'll have Full Clear against Aurora, who have been looking incredibly strong, I believe, in this first day. So I'm hyped to see that. Both new teams here in the second division, which definitely look promising at least.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the performance of their mid laner on LeBlanc, which was really, really solid. And then, of course, match number 3 will be Rift Sloths against JMGG, and then which is a new team coming from the amateur circuit. And then, of course, match number 4 will be Dynasty against Next or NXT. So definitely some matchups you don't want to miss today. So I'm really hyped to see how those teams will pair up against each other, and maybe we see some more upsets, because, I mean, if PERTINAX would have won against Rift Sloths, that would be maybe one of the biggest upsets in Elite Series Division 2 history. So maybe we see some more exciting games today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for now, I'm pretty hyped about this split. Things are looking great. Teams seem to be up to the channel, every last one of them. And most importantly, the social media banter is really, really active right now on Twitter. We've seen the memes dropping here and there. That's one of the things I did follow up to today, and those were pretty awesome. Oh yeah, something that I shouldn't forget to mention. We are now actually live. We do no longer have 4-minute delay, meaning we can interact with you chat However, when this, once the game starts, we'll pause it for 4 minutes in order to keep that delay for the competitive integrity of the tournament, of course. But now you're informed, so we'll have some time to talk about the team comp once it's picked, and so on and so forth. So match 1, Once Upon a I'm on the wrong tab here. PERTINAX against Once Upon a Team. So Once Upon a Team was already a good start. What are your expectations going into this matchup?
Yeah, hopefully we see something from them, because last split they went unwinning, you could say. So starting already with a 0 and 1, it's a rough start for them. So definitely they want to bounce back and secure at least 1 win in this summer split. So maybe it's against PERTINAX, but especially PERTINAX is no team you should sleep on, because like we said already, they almost bet beaten Rift Sloths. So especially with Makler on his Kragas, I believe last game was really strong. And yeah, I'm really hyped to see what the bans will look like, because we have, of course, those really strong champions like the Zeruyumi combo, or some Mido, some Nico stuff. So there's definitely maybe even a Mido ban coming up last. No, there's the Y. So it could be that PERTINAX picks up Mido first, and there he is. I'm a prediction god normally.
Prediction god.
Yeah, nice to see. And then of course Kragas is really OP right now. So no, that should be a no-brainer. And yeah, Jinx also.
Jinx. Also very strong up to now. We've seen her almost every game on Wednesday. I can see her was played 3 out of 4 times. Just a pretty impressive pick rate to start off in a season. Definitely a champ to look out for. While Zeri was also banned every game, so seems like we have this sort of recurring theme that will be showing up over at least this start of the split. I believe next week we'll be going to the next patch, but for now we're on 13.10 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so. And there's Maokai, really strong jungler right now. And now the big question is, what do you want to combine with this Minion? Normally you should get a ADC now, and like maybe a Varus, maybe a Kog'Maw, maybe the Jhin or something. But no, it's actually Xayah, which is a fine matchup, especially against Kragas, because you can always just ult when he tries to knock you in. So I think that's fine, but Medio Xayah is maybe not the way strongest combo you could pick, but it's still a decent one, especially after Lucian and Jinx are gone. And now the big question becomes, do you want to pick up like a support, like Lulu, like the Thresh, and there's a Thresh. So we already see both bot lanes and presumably both junglers, but of course Octomalus could pick up the Kragas, and also we could see a Kragas in mid lane as well.
Naturally, so Once Upon a Team have some pretty nice flexibility there on this Kragas pick, which we've seen time and time again, especially in this Elite series here. Last split was already the case. Flex picks being like really dangerous, really threatening to play around, because it does limit your field of vision during the champ select.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the big reason why Kragas at the moment is so strong, just because he's almost even flexible on support. So just playing with those flex picks definitely makes sense. Now we will see some top lane bans, maybe even some bans against the Kragas top lane, that he has a nicer lane, for example, so that you could just get him to top lane. But they decide to just ban out LeBlanc, the most played champion, of course, of the PERTINAX mid laner. And then the big question becomes, do you want to ban out like the Cassandra, for example, just to don't give Octomalus his like strongest champion, and then you can go on? Or do you want, there's a Cassandra, otherwise you could have maybe banned out in mid lane matchup, for example, but nope, just banning out Octomalus, who was on a different team last split and now coming into Once Upon a Team. Definitely, I think Cutlight was the former top laner of Once Upon a Team. Definitely with Octomalus, they got a big upgrade there, in my opinion.
Yes, I mean, overall, here we have quite a lot of new players. We have Makla, who's there in the spring split, notably, and Neiko, UFO, I think we've also seen a few times.
Yeah, I think Neko.
Seem familiar.
I think both teams stayed with their jungler actually. So, which is pretty cool to see that those junglers kind of got built around. And yeah, there's the Syndra coming out against maybe the Pantheon. We will see if they want to swap around Pantheon to top lane. I mean, even Pantheon jungle is playable, so still both of those picks, Kragas and Pantheon, are still flexible on all 3 open lanes. So
Yeah.
that we don't know where they will go yet. I believe that Once Upon a Team will probably play the Pantheon mid lane, just because their mid lane are trained a little bit in solo queue. But and I think against Syndra could be a tough matchup, but as long as Syndra has not used her Scatter the Week, then you can always just jump on her and always block, of course, the ultimate damage with his W. So definitely a matchup he can go for. And there's Quen against the full tank, so a really good matchup for Optimalus. And here we see both full team comps, and like you already said, we will have plenty of time to analyze them with like 3 or 4 minutes delay. So yeah, what is your opinion about those 2 drafts? Who won it and why?
Well, you know, I was a bit distracted right now, but I really like what Once Upon a Team's got going for them, not gonna lie. First of all, maybe it's Daniel's influence, but I do like seeing some Jinx gameplay. I think it's a very interesting champ that can move around quite well in late team fights and so on. And they do have quite a bit of elements to like Carpo. You have the Thresh who can initiate nicely, can also peel very nicely. You have the Gragas with a bunch of CC. And as well as a Gwen that is just going to be a thorn in their side, or maybe you could say a needle in their side, and keep annoying them. Plus, yeah, thank you. Should have a pretty good time in the top lane, which is, in my opinion, top lane. So I've started to play top lane lately when I play on rare occasions, and I think it's sometimes a role that I feel like is underlooked, because it can have a pretty big impact especially when you have a winning lane. I mean, a Gwen that wins a lane can control so much of the game with small decisions, and yeah, that should not be underestimated.
Yeah, and it's a really good matchup as well, because normally, like those trading patterns by Sion, especially with the fully charged Q, is really strong. And like Quan has 2 ways to deny it. One, she can always dash out of the Q, so that's the easy way out. But also, if you just place your W at the right spot, you are immune to this Q if he is not in your mist, right? So and because of that, and because of all the true damage with the Q, and later with Riftmaker and stuff, you have just plenty of damage to kill this Sion. So it's a really good matchup for Octumalus. And if we could just look at both team comps, we have a lot of scaling, of course, like Melio with any ADC usually scales really well. Sion scales endlessly in health. But on the flip side, you have like a winning sideline matchup with Jinx and Quen. So this winning sideline matchup with Quen. And then we have Jinx as late game assurance. So that looks really strong from Once Upon a Team. And I would like to say that they did a really good draft. In the end, maybe I'm a little bit biased because PERTINAX played really well. On Wednesday, I would still give it to them just because I believe they are the maybe stronger team. And if you just think about how Once Upon a Team engage into this team comp, you have the Maoka ult as disengage, you have Sion as big frontline with a lot of disengage with the Q. And then, of course, Saya can peel herself. You have Melio, you have the Scatter the Weak. So there's plenty of just control of those team fights. And like it's really hard for a Pantheon, for Kragas to get in. Quen maybe with the immune can get to the Saya. But except that, I think that the front to back of PERTINAX is so strong, and they drafted this team fight comp with 2 tanks, a support, 2 good backliners, that they will maybe win it. But if this game gets really, really late, and like factors with the split push are a big factor, then I think Once Upon a Team has good chances.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where the Gwen is also gonna come back in handy. Once the Jinx has her items and the damage is gonna be an absolute threat, they should be able to hold the lane with equal people, and if they're able to spread them correctly, they should be able to eventually outpace PERTINAX. If it gets to that later stage of the game, I believe that is a very important factor. How quick is PERTINAX going to be able to close this game off? Can they find the right early picks in order to start getting that snowball and get to a quick finish? Which the game on Wednesday would pretty much disapprove, but it's only one game, so we'll have to see how it fares in this one. I mean, I think they should be able to. They have a Syndra that should be able to burst people down more or less earlier on. Should be able to get them this early damage they need and to get the pace going.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll go in-game. And with that, welcome, guys, to this first game of this Friday with Once Upon a Team clashing with PERTINAX Esports on our second match day of the first week. And it will be a banger, definitely. So let's see what happens in this early game. Of course, both sides could go for something early with Maokai, or even with the Cyan Q and with the hook. But I don't believe that they go for it, because we see just a standard 5-point cover.
Yes, better enter this game safely in the first few minutes, not wager giving the other an edge earlier on. Especially since here it could play really well in either team's hands, to be honest, to get this early lead going. So yeah, better be safe than sorry. Already starting to set up. We'll soon have minions spawning. There we have it. And we're off for this game. PERTINAX versus Once Upon a Team. The second day of week 1 here at ESLOL, second division summer split.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just really, really slow. Oh, there's the first ward being killed, and that's really smart to give it to this to the Gwen, the ward kill, because now she gets level 2 a little bit faster.
I think that's gonna be. This can be a very strong deciding factor in that lane to get ahead a bit early, because if Octomalus is able to bully Electro under the turret early on enough, he could be pretty well off in that lane.
Yeah, and some poke coming out. Of course, it's range build versus melee in the mid lane, so it's always hard to play as a melee champion in the early levels. Really good trade there on top lane as well. With the fully charged Q at the moment, she didn't have like either the dash nor mist, so that Q went through this as well.
And by using the dash to get in range to even get the snake through correctly, use that ability. We have the gang on the mid lane. Nice flash trying, but the stun does go through as Neko flashes himself, and they pick up first blood for Once Upon a Team.
Yeah, really well played. And that's like the big bonus from Pantheon mid lane. It's just point-to-click CC together with the stun of Neko. They can definitely secure those really easily against in Mage. And then there's really a big problem now, because Syndra has no flash anymore. And with this flash being down, she is sitting duck basically against Pantheon and Krager. So I believe we will see some more mid lane ganks from Neko, or they should do that, just because she can be easily killed. Of course, now with level 3, she has just her Scatter the Weak, so she can always go for some plays against them. But especially like this time, if she uses it offensively, then she can be jumped on with Kragas and Pantheon and maybe being killed.
And here we have Leolas getting catch in the river here, but the rest of his team is joining in. But now Yedified without the flash is going to get a grasp by Mastu, and some damage is falling onto him, getting real low slowly, but so is the middle lane elf. Once Upon a Team is looking close, but Yedified is the first to fall. Neko getting really low now as PERTINAX's own AD carry is coming in. They pick up the kill on Neko. And now we flash behind Masu, get the damage out, and that's the kill going to PERTINAX's AD carry.
Yeah, really well played by PERTINAX, just playing as a crew, playing together and just roaming with the full bot lane, while just Thresh moved to the mid lane and Jinx stayed. They moved Mr. HB to the mid lane as well, so he got secured 1 kill. Sadly, Leolas got 1 kill as well with this last auto attack, but in the end, it is worth it for the team. Those assists are really, really good, and like a kill on Meteor is nothing too bad, just because he gets more of his items with that, and he can just peel his team a little bit better, so definitely a good thing. And there you can see the interaction with the jump and the scatter the weak. So it's really important for Syndra to always keep it defensively, to not being chunked by this puncher.
Yeah, that's the slight edge that what get from here is that Mastu did get a kill. So he is going to be able to go even stronger onto Yedified on the middle lane. We already see a small discrepancy in terms of farm. You know, the bot lane PERTINAX looking good, but here we have the hook coming through as Neko is coming in with the lantern. Mr. HB is able to get the security, however.
Yeah, and I believe me and Daniel called him Mr. I called him Mr. HB, but I think it's Mr. Herb or something. I don't know. For me, it's Mr. HB anyway. But I believe Daniel said it's Mr. Herb or something like that. I don't know. Daniel is a funky guy. Maybe he just called him like he wanted. Mr. Hub. It's Mr. Hub. Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe it's HB's short for handsome beast, but that's Daniel. As we know,
okay.
So,
yeah, true.
either it's Daniel's alter ego, or Daniel is actually playing the Elite Series without us noticing, and while doing the production, which would not be very legal. Don't worry, it's not Daniel playing. I can assure you that.
Oh no, the handsome beast. Oh, that's cool. But Daniel sadly isn't playing here. He's not on the skill level anyway. Just friendly banter. He's amazing. Anyway, Drake being secured here by PERTINAX, and like at the moment, it looks good for him. Oh, that could be
the
a
flash of Yufa that does not connect, and the stun is falling onto Mastu as Electro is rotating down. Nice rotation of PERTINAX's top laner. Meanwhile, the rest of his team does get the Drake. Well played.
Yeah, and I wonder why Electro didn't want to ult there. I mean, he saw that Thresh was X-flashing in, so he could have just run in with his ultimate, but they decide against that. And in the end, just a little roam, which cost him a little bit of farm and I believe a plating or something. So, and that's really, really hard, yeah, full plate. So, and that's really, really hard for PERTINAX, because if Octomalos like gets those platings, gets the lead on the split push matchup, then he is really, really strong. And he could be a menace on the sideline, especially in the later stages. There are games which are decided by a Quen who just backdoors a full turret and after that the Nexus. So, especially with the Nashor's Tooth and her attack speed from the E, she is really, really strong. And right now we see like a little lane swap, because PERTINAX took down the Drake, and with that there's no objective on the bot side. And Herald is spawning soon, so they will just swap to the top lane to secure this next object. And of course, they kinda bullied Quen a little bit out, so now Quen needs to walk to the bot lane. And with that, she loses some control at least and some pressure. But you already see on the minimap that both top laners even roam to the mid lane now. So we could see maybe a big team fight coming up on this Herald.
Yes, indeed, as both teams are preparing for it. PERTINAX are the ones to open up the dance here by pulling it out of the pit, but Once Upon a Team is ready and coming in a sort of pincer formation. Coming in here, we have a stun landing onto Octomalus, but now Syndra doesn't have the safety. Makla decides to engage with the ultimate. We get some CC out, and it's all in now as Master is putting a lot of damage onto Mr. HB, who dies first. Yufio now next to fall, but this is looking quite good for what, as they're now all focusing on to Makala, who is gonna fall down as they come out with 2 kills for 1 out of this fight. However, PERTINAX is able to grab the Herald.
Yeah, 2 for 1. Oh, Neko maybe in trouble now.
He decides to go in for a solo kill, but he's the one who gets solo killed as his mate is now coming to save him, but they might just die both here. There's a lot of damage is falling onto Mas2. And yeah, is forced to retreat back, put some damage out, but he's not gonna survive. That's a kill going to PERTINAX mid lane. I mean, Maker does look for the execute, but it does not go through as Leolas picks up the kill, and this is really good for PERTINAX.
Yeah, just 2 quick kills. In the end, 3 kills from Mino. That's maybe not the best thing in the world, but like I said, he gets his support items faster with that, and with that, his ADC, Mr. Hub, of course, gets stronger as well, so it's not too bad. Yeah, and they secured this Herald. Normally, 2 kills for the Herald, I would say, is worth if you get some platings with that. But especially because Jinx got a kill and Quen got a kill. Those are the really big carries, so just like now getting 2 kills for Milio, for example, and then 1 kill for Quen and 1 kill for Jinx, that's not worth. And yeah, it was
really 1
hard.
kill on Syndra, so there's at least that, and yeah, we'll have to see how they use the Herald in the end.
Yeah, definitely. This Herald placement will be a deciding factor, and like Makula is already on his way to the bot lane, do his strong carry Leolas with 3 kills. So just playing around your win condition, right? And they could go for something because Makula has his ultimate, but Jinx has both summoner spells, so she shouldn't die at least.
Getting relatively close here, we flash in to get to double root, and it works out as they pick up the kill onto Smoothie, but TP is coming in from both middle laners. Master is the first to come in, but he's already pretty low, so has to be careful as now he's in the middle of them. It's Makala who's in the middle of Once Upon a Team, getting killed by Octomalus, who also joined the fray. 1-2-1, however. We have Electro, who is all alone on the top lane, and he's going to be able to grab himself some very nice platings out of this.
Yeah, but I believe that's still worth it. I mean, yeah, Mr. Hub got 1 kill, but also Octomalus, and now, yeah, some platings will be dropped in the top lane. But
nice dodge here as he put some damage on Yufa, is going to pick up the kill, but now he has to be careful as Octomalus is killing him very quickly. Yeah, it's Neko with the exploding castle who's going to pick up the finishing hit, and now Leolas all alone is trying to get away, is really low and able to escape, however.
And that would have been juicy for the Quen. 300 gold shutdown on Leolas, so that would have been a big one, but he could survive successfully. So that's something, but still, Octomalus got a 2nd kill and is now 2-0-2, and they try to secure this dragon maybe.
They do have the priority. I mean, they bullied the bot lane away, respectively killed the AD carry, and mid lane they sent their own bot lane in order to grab the prio there. Should be able to get it more or less comfortably even. Makla coming in, trying to go for the steal with his own ultimate, putting the damage out. The smite does go through, and he picks up that 2nd Drake for his team at the cost of his own life.
Oh man, that's so great by him. Just if I remember correctly, Makula stole the Baron in the Rift Sloth game, and I think he stole like the Soul Point Drake or something. So this man is on a mission to carry his team and just steals another Drake. I mean, Makala really is intense at the moment, and just gets all of those objectives.
Yeah, I mean, currently I really like what we're seeing from Makala, and also what we're seeing from Octomalus, who's putting his team in a pretty good position. And we have this kind of trend that's starting to pop out here. We have PERTINAX should be playing more around their bot lane, which is slightly ahead, while Octomalus is able to also carve his own way through this game with his pretty good standings up to now and quite a few platings he got.
Yeah, definitely. Really, really strong at the moment by both teams. I mean, if you just look at the gold right now, it's like evenly split. So both teams with almost the same gold. Yeah, some trades in the top lane, but Gwen should be stronger in those just because she has the true damage, and of course with the Rift Maker she has some sustain which Electro hasn't. But he gets some good trades.
Yeah, he keeps getting this nice fully charged Qs here using the bushes, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, Electro knows how to play the matchup. Like, this is one of the skill components of him. And there you could see how he dodges the fully charged Q with the mist. You know, it just goes for some trades, but it's just a tank against Gwen, so the tank isn't dying.
We have a lot of pressure falling on that bot lane turret as Master is trying to protect it. Damage on it. Here top lane. Seems like a bad omen is falling upon PERTINAX. No. Never mind. But I forget what I was gonna say. Yeah, Harold is spawning. Yeah, it is there now.
Yeah, and we see that both teams kind of play around it, but Once Upon a Team plays a little bit harder around this Herald, and now goes for the top lane dive.
Yes, they pick up their first top lane turret and a kill onto Markala, but now Electro coming in very nice with the ulti, putting a lot of damage onto Octomalus, but keep on pushing as their own bot lane is there. Once Upon a Team is there to pick up this kill. A lot of damage falling on the enemy side player as he goes down, and Octomalus has to be careful now. He is pretty low. And that's 2 kills and a turret for Once Upon a Team, as they can now simply, without worry, engage that Herald. Nicely played.
Yeah. Meantime, at least a little cross-map play coming down from Mr. Up and Leolas, who secured the bot lane turret. But like you said, it's just a little bit more here for Once Upon a Team, and they look really, really solid right now. And especially that is like a little bit nice to see, just because they had this long losing streak already, and with last split of course, and now seeing them being competitive and maybe even winning such a game makes me feel a little bit better. But of course, PERTINAX still has all their cards in their hand to maybe get something there, and maybe get a catch now onto Pantheon.
Yeah, as he is supposed to use the ultimate to flee, we get the stun through interrupting him, and he should not be able to flee out of there without issue. Yes, they pick up this kill.
Yeah, well played. I mean, they used a lot of resources like the flash and like the ultimate of Makala, but that's fine. At least they got something, but now they probably lose this mid lane turret, and they try to teleport it, they try to play it.
We'll try to TP on it and defend it, as Yuffie is starting to get a lot of damage because the bot lane did join in, and Leolas is on the rampage.
Yeah, that's something you never would say about a Meteor, right? It's kind of unlucky for him to get all those kills. I mean, it's a supporter, and he will get usefuler, I guess, but it's so sad. Just think about all those 4 kills on a Syndra, for example, or even on Mr. Hub. It would be so insane. And yeah, but maybe he is stronger in the supporter combat after that. So. Maybe we see some support solos, but probably not. And Drake is spawning soon, so we might see a play around the little Lindworm, just because it would be soul point for PERTINAX, and they definitely want to secure that.
Yes, definitely. As much as Once Upon a Team does not want them to secure it. And nice land from Utified as it opens up the way to PERTINAX to engage onto them. We catch Yuffie, he should not be able to flee from there, and they're now undermanned on the sides of Once Upon a Team and forced to fall back. PERTINAX should be able to secure this Drake.
Oh, it was so juicy, man. It was so juicy. This Syndra. In the end, they trade Drake for this tier 1 mid lane turret, but what a play by the Central player, just demolishing like 4 people with this one little combo. They needed to flash out, especially like getting all 3 flashes of Fresh, Jinx, and Mako. I mean, that's really, really insane.
Absolutely, but now Matsu
Exactly.
picks up the kill, the shutdown.
Yeah, well played by the Pantheon. But I'm a little bit worried, and we go into a short break. By the way, it was an in-game pause, so to hold those 4 minutes delay, we need to go into a short break with that. But we will get back after the in-game pause is done, so probably internet connection issues by one of the players, who knows. But yeah, let's talk about what we saw like the last couple of minutes, because there is no soul point for PERTINAX. And like I already said, there could be a huge problem for Once Upon a Team to get to the 2 carries of PERTINAX because of all those really good peeling tools and all of this disengage by PERTINAX. And now just think about it, how strong would it be if PERTINAX get this Mountain Drake Soul? They are just unkillable, in my opinion, after that. And so I think Once Upon a Team, if they lose the next Drake, they kind of have to play around side lane and just have to pray for the Quen or something. I mean, Mountain Drake Soul is not like game losing or something, but it just makes it really, really hard to really get to those 2 carries. And I think that could be a huge issue for them.
Yeah, because you've identified earlier, it is their way of winning a fight here. Being able to get to them, because else the damage is going to be insurmountable, and it's already very hard with all the peel. This just makes it even harder. Overall, though, up to now, I think the game is more or less balanced. There's only the issue of the Drakes. If Once Upon a Team is able to handle that, they should be able to get in a comfortable position, as they've, for the rest, been able to kind of maintain pace with PERTINAX.
Yeah, you nailed it. And yeah, I believe we will see a lot of the pushing now coming from Octumalos, at least for the next 4 minutes. And then, like we talked about the Drakes, but also Baroness spawning soon. So we will probably see now after this record that Octumalos goes to the sideline, probably bot lane, and just tries to split push while on the top side Baroness up, and then maybe at least gets this tier 1 bot lane turret, because like getting those tier 1 turrets are really, really important.
Yes.
And so we might see him just getting that with this next push.
Nice. Coming in from UFO, PERTINAX does go for the counter engage with flash, but do not flash away from that ultimate, as UFO is now dying to the hands of Mr. Hub.
And that's so sad to see, because they went for disengage. And if such an engage just fires back, it always feels like really, really bad for the player who does it, right? And now, at least Mako is around the corner, so he could try to go for the steal. They will definitely get like 2 turrets for it.
Rocket coming in.
No steal. But they might get the mid lane turret as well, but also maybe even the bot lane turret. No, there's the teleport, so...
They got the tier 1 bot lane turret.
Yeah, that's something. Oh, maybe the big shutdown!
It's the shutdown on Leolas. That's huge for Neko coming in, as he's now in a 1v1 and getting joined by his teammates, so they might be able to pick up the second kill here onto Makala with 4 people. Might even go to the 80 carry if everything goes well for them. Yes, perfect. Well played on Once Upon a Team, who were able to, in the end, twist that bad situation around, get something out of it. 2 turrets. They did get tier 2 on mid lane, and 2 kills, one of which shut down on Leolas. Well played.
Yeah, I mean, they got the best out of this really bad situation by losing the Baron. They got 2 turrets mid lane, 1 turret bot lane, big shutdown for Neko, and then of course a second kill on Jing. So in terms of gold, I would say that's really worth it, because normally Baron power play starts with 3k gold, and like getting 3 turrets and 2 kills roughly could be 3k gold. So especially with the shutdown, so definitely it could be a negative Baron power play here from PERTINAX, at least gold-wise. And that's really, really good for Once Upon a Team. Now they just need to defend for the next like 2 minutes of Baron time, that they don't lose like their tier 1 top lane turret or maybe even the tier 1 mid lane turret. And after Baron is gone, they just need to get this 4th Drake, because they shouldn't give it up for PERTINAX.
Yes, and they've started to build up the vision around it. It seems like this play gave them sort of a second win. They're starting to take things into their hands as a hook does follow on Mark, and the rest of the team this time is around to go all in. Mr. HP is getting a lot of damage while Once Upon a Team is trying to get onto them, able to get some damage, but now it's Master has to be careful, get some nice damage into him as well. Overall, more or less equal trade.
Yeah, what a play, and Niko tried to snipe Mr. Hut there. And in the end, they get Pantheon, so that's worth it. And especially, I mean, just look at the death timer, 35 seconds, and in 18 seconds there's Drake, so they could get this Drake 45.
Ooh. Get to hook onto the AP carry from the enemies, but no, Yuffie is gonna die from that hook again as they pick up now tier 1 turret on the mid lane. This looks really good for PERTINAX, for them to get that soul, as they were able to turn the tides on what's aggression here.
Yeah, and they will get the full soul, and with that, there is a really tough time for Once Upon a Team now. And
Yes.
like, now maybe the only win choice for Once Upon a Team is the Gwen on sideline, which is really, really rough, because they can't just try to defend her with 2 people, maybe with 3 people, just kill her and then hopefully go for more. Like I said, the soul point or the soul isn't like game winning, it's just a shield for everybody. But just thinking about the value, if 5 people have this shield, like you already see like it's almost 300 or 400 health. So just thinking about it could be maybe 1200 or 1500 health in total, which is almost like a second F6 champion, right? A 6 squishy who doesn't deal damage or something. So that's a lot of health, which Once Upon a Team now needs to take care of in a team fight.
Absolutely. Maybe we can take a look at the individual players' goals in order to compare what is what, although we can have a pretty good idea based on their CS and their kills, especially because Mr. Hub has very nice score up to now. Should be pretty well into this game, already has 3 items, slightly ahead of Smoothie in terms of that. Yeah, we can see a 2k gold lead. However, Optimus is able to compete with it. So I guess we have identified both carries for each game.
And like we see that Cyan needs to answer Optimalus on the sideline, but he's kinda late. There's the tower gun, and they can't catch her anymore, so they just traded tier 2 top lane turret for tier 2 bot lane turret, essentially. And now the big Baron dance will start soon. Oh, good hook, but you can't really do something with that. So just 50 seconds for Baron, and we will probably see Octomados and Electro on the bot lane. But the problem is, Electro will just lose the sideline matchup, especially now with, just look at that, Rabadons as 3rd item. This Gwen is huge. And so Cyan can't compete with that. So he needs to go to his team. He can always try to ult up on the river, just to ult from maybe the Dragon Pit to the Baron Pit or something. But they need to do it fast, because if he takes too much time, he will either lose the sideline matchup or they will just lose the base, right? So that's now the big problem PERTINAX has to clear. And yeah, Octomalus looks fearless, and he will just go in and take down this turret. And he can maybe even ignore this Cyan for at least some turret shots and just go for the turret. But well, he takes a lot of damage at the moment, but he will just sustain it.
And Electro's clear is pretty good with fully charged Q. There's a lot of damage. Here we have the 1-1 while the rest of both teams are at the dragon. Yeah, we can see Octomalus' damage in action. Does proc the ultimate. There are a few turret hits, however, dodges the ultimate very nicely with the snip. Is going to pick up that kill and be able to push, while PERTINAX is getting that Baron indeed. Just in time for them to back to eventually, but Octomalus from further pushing here. However, Once Upon a Team does now have the numerical advantage, which does play in the hand because item-wise should be able to more or less compete with PERTINAX. And with this lead of people, it should be able to make up for that Dragon Soul, I think.
Yeah, and like we definitely could see that with this Rabadons, Gwen is just almost unkillable in the 1v1. Even with those really, really bad trades in the beginning, she still just threats through Electro. And if she just had like a couple of more seconds or maybe even a wave, this Baron would have been trapped. And just look at that, her next item will be the Void Staff. So after the Void Staff, Electro can just forfeit the spotlight and just never appear again against the Quen anymore. Because the Void Staff here will being shredded even more. So PERTINAX definitely needs to do something in the 4v4. The big problem with those split pushing champions is either you fight 4v5 and force the split pusher to the team with teleport, for example, and just force a 5v5, or you drop an objective like a turret and just win a 4v5, right? So either force them or just win with numbers advantage, because otherwise if you just sit on the sideline as a tank, you will just lose the 1v1 like we saw, you will just lose the objectives like we saw, and that's really, really a tough decision to make now for PERTINAX.
Yes, as Once Upon a Team now simply needs to kind of block them here at the mid lane turret, while Octomalus is able to push back Electro, as we can see, because he can't do anything. If he gets too close, look at this. He just gets snipped in pieces, and Octomalus is keeping the push going. Well, Once Upon a Team does have the comfort of being able to bag, and here is the engage as they come in with Matsu's ultimate. A lot of damage falling onto Leolas, but now Yetified is joining back in with a TP of Electro. They're going to be 5v4 now, as Octomalus also joined in. PERTINAX can keep the push going here. They pick up a second kill, going to Mr. Hub as well. Double kill for the AD carry, triple kill as he picks up Smoothie. Here comes the Quadra, maybe, no. Master is able to get back to safety in time. And PERTINAX was able to do great with this engage.
Yeah, and they could even win it from here now. And like we saw, there's just no way to get to this backline. They cannot engage versus this kind of disengage versus the Dragon Soul. And now they will just take down the last two kills and the Nexus. And with that, defeating Once Upon a Team and getting the first victory for PERTINAX in a 30-minute game.
Yeah, what a nice game from both teams. Especially PERTINAX were able to work really well and think clearly in this like very pressurized situation they've had at the end. You've said it's a very tough choice they need to make, and they leave Octomalus doing his own thing on the lane, knowing that it is just a ticking time bomb. You know, they need to somehow find the entrance. Once Upon a Team did give it to them in the end by engaging in there, which was pretty ballsy, and PERTINAX was able to flip that around in a good situation for them. Picking up first win of tonight, as you've said. However, I have to say, I really liked what I saw also from Once Upon a Team, but it does feel like sometimes what I had from a feeling is that they're off on a good foot, but they need to kind of find their synergy as a team. Yet I think those few changes in terms of players has them kind of on the back foot here. I think over the season we should be able to see some really nice stuff from them.
Yeah, definitely. And this game kind of reminds me of the PERTINAX against Rift game, because in this game we saw a really huge Jax who could have just base raced or just backdoored Rift slots, but they decided to teleport with the Jax to the team, lose the team fight and lose the game. And this time Once Upon a Team did the same thing. Like, why would you teleport with the Gwen to the team just to lose the team fight, just to lose the game? I mean, we already saw that she could take down turrets while Cyan just stands right next to her, right? So they could have just went for the 1v1 on the side lane, but decided to go for the same mistake Pertinax did. And yeah, it's funny to see it from two different teams, but like with the same team on both sides, and it's kind of like a really huge mistake, because I think Once Upon a Team could have won it. I mean, we just saw how strong this Gwen is on with the turret, and she could just take it down while Cyan was just standing there. I mean, just go for the base, man. But anyway, with that being said, they lost it, and yeah, the losing streak continues, which is really sad to see. We wish them best of luck in her next week, of course. But Pertinax clutched it out, and it was a deserved victory, in my opinion.
Yes, evidently. Now, we will head into a short break before Game 2 of tonight, which will be none other than Aurora going up against Full Clear Esports, who have both teams have won actually their first game and seem to be pretty promising, and I think that matchup should be very promising, so definitely tune in for that after this short, about probably 10-minute break. Now, see you soon.
Salut, ich bin der Daniel und das ist der Ali. Und mir weiß der Schaudecker, wenn du Summoner Stand so laufen wird. Kommt mit.
Spiel Summoner Stands bei diesem League of Legends Turnier Mod.
Oh nein, das hat mich gekillt. Guck, kein Bock mehr auf League. Ciao.
Beweis den Treffsicherheit bei diesem Bierpunkt Turnier.
Oh, Genre ist so gewonnen. Das ist kein Spaß. Ciao.
Oder genieße flotten Uwe mit der Community.
Eine Straße, viele Bäume. Ja, das ist eine Allee, 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 Allee.